Hey team, so I was recently asked by one of my subscribers, how long should I stop running with Achilles tendonitis? So I wanted to make a video about that, and the reason why I'm also making this video is because I have dealt with Achilles tendonitis over the years and know how frustrating it can be when you want to continue to get out and put in that mileage and put in those workouts, but your Achilles tendonitis, continues to get worse over time. My best recommendation is do not try to continue to run with Achilles tendonitis. Yes, you can still continue to go out and train, but if it continues to get worse and it continues to tighten up, there is no reason why you need to continue to push the envelope and make it even worse. It's much better just to take the time off. I know how difficult it is, because over the years I dealt with Achilles tendonitis and I felt like, well, maybe I'll just, it's okay, it's tight, but I can manage it. All it did was continue to get worse because I continued to get out the door and try to run on it. If you're gonna run with Achilles tendonitis and you have it, outside of taking complete rest, the best option you have, and I know it's not, an option that most of us really enjoy, but is aside from complete rest, is do pole running. Get in the deep end of a pole and either put on a flotation device, and it's much easier to pole run with a flotation device. You just focus on running in the deep end of the pole, focus on your form. If you're running with if you're doing pole running and you're wearing a flotation device, it's much easier because you don't have to force yourself to stay up when you're moving your arms. The water resistance is much more difficult if you're not wearing a flotation device. The reason why pole running is so great, especially if you're dealing with any type of Achilles related injury or a knee, maybe patellar tendonitis, is there's no impact on the joints. The problem is Achilles tendonitis, it takes several months to completely heal. Depending on the severity of it, it can take up to about a year to completely heal. I've known runners over the years too that run with Achilles tendonitis, continue to run with it, and actually had to go and have surgery on their Achilles tendon, which you do not want to do. So without question, I know it's not the best answer, but continuing to run on any type of injury is not going to help you in any way. There's the best option you have, especially if it's Achilles related injury or a patellar related injury, any type of injury where it continues to tighten up or it continues to give you pain and you're continuing to get out on the roads and run on these injuries. You have two options. You can either continue to do it and either cause even your injury to become even worse, or have to have surgery on it and be out for several months or even up to over a year, or simply take the time off. And I know taking time off is difficult, and over the years I absolutely hated it myself, but I got to a point where the longer, the more mature I got in the sport, when I had to take time off, I had no issue whatsoever. Because the mindset changed. I realized that, hey, running is always going to be there. The problem is we as middle to long distance runners, we're disciplined and focused. We want to, get out and do the hard anaerobic training, the long tempo runs, the long runs, and to sit back and take time off, especially when your competition is preparing to beat you, or maybe you had a race in mind and your competition's trained to beat you and you can't do anything about it. You can't go out and prepare and be properly ready for your races and ready for that competition because you have to take this time off. Or maybe you had a race in mind and now that you're gonna have to sit out and focus on another race. I know how difficult that is, and so my top recommendations is to deal with it, get over it. We've talked about these in other videos where the concept of getting to that long-term goal that you have in mind. We all are going after our own goals, and we have to accept the fact that there's going to be setbacks along the way. It's not just going to be smooth all the time. It's that way for beginners. It's that way for world-class athletes. Everybody's dealt with it. The former world record holder for the marathon, Haile Gebrselassie of Ethiopia, he actually had Achilles tendonitis. It continued to run on it and actually had to go and have surgery on his Achilles. Took him out of the sport for several months. And so even somebody of that caliber, Haile Gebrselassie of Ethiopia was the first male marathoner to break the 2-hour and 4-minute marathon barrier. And so, Haley's one of the world's most incredible athletes, one of the all-time best middle to long distance runners ever. And he dealt with this. He had Achilles tendonitis, continued to train. It got worse. He ended up having to have surgery on his Achilles. So without a doubt, outside of complete rest, is do an activity that takes all of the stress off of your ligaments, all of the impact that you would have to deal with if you continue to run on pavement or on concrete. The best recommendation out there is pool running. So if you have access to a swimming pool, my best recommendation is to get in that deep end of the pool, put on a flotation device. You can do a lot of different types of workouts with pool running too. Even if you have Achilles tendonitis, it's very boring, but so is training. And so if you do not, without question, you just do not want to take complete rest off, and you want to stay motivated, you want to do, maintain that activity, do pool running. Yes, it's boring, but at the same time, you can still do, it's very close to the equivalent of land running. The reason why is you have the resistance of the pool. So when you're running, you're focusing on your form. If you don't have a flotation device on, you can do intervals, you can do fartlek workouts where you're running hard in the pool for like a minute and then resting for a minute and then running hard for a minute again and doing repeat intervals of like 1 to 2 minutes. So you can do fartleks, you can do tempo runs where you're running harder, without the flotation device. And again, it's going to be much more difficult without a flotation device. So you're going to have to force yourself to stay up above the water, keeping your head above the water. But again, you focus on form, and without a flotation device, you're going to have to focus on pumping your arms more and moving your legs in the same manner as you would be on land. And I found that pool running really is an outstanding remedy for athletes that have Achilles tendonitis. Do not continue to run when you have Achilles tendonitis. It is not worth it. Again, it takes much more discipline and to back off when you should, than to continue to get out the door and make an injury worse and worse, only to set you back longer. And I know this from experience too, because I was bullheaded over the years too, where I was just so motivated to continue to train and continue to get out the door, and all it did was get my injuries worse. And looking back now, as I mentioned before, as I got more mature in the sport, it got to a point where, hey, if I had an injury or I had something that, whether it was shin splints, and I've had a lot of injuries over the years running, from Achilles tendonitis, patellar tendonitis, piriformis syndrome. I've had 2 knee surgeries on my left knee for where they had to go, and this was back in the 90s when I was in college, or even in my senior year in high school, going into college. They had to go in and take out floating bodies, which is little pieces of cartilage that broke off in my kneecap. And I was able to run, but if the piece of cartilage moved in the wrong spot, it would lock my knee up, and just extreme pain. So if you ever have an issue with those types of injuries, you have to have surgery for those. And now, granted, they're minor surgeries, but they're you still go under the knife, and you have to take about a month off for orthoscopic knee surgeries. Like I said, I had that done twice on my left knee and once on my right knee for the same exact reason. Fortunately, since the 90s, I never had any issues with my knees, and I'm very thankful for that. But Achilles tendonitis, I've dealt with it, and I know your Achilles will continue to tighten and tighten and tighten, and it will become more painful to get to a point where you simply cannot run because it's so painful. And if you do it, and if you continue to train with this, and you make the injury worse, you can potentially have to have surgery on your Achilles. And I certainly do not want you to have to deal with that, because it'll set you back several months, probably over a year, to completely heal from an injury of that extent. So Be smart about your training. Okay, running will always be there. If you have to take a few months off, complete months off to completely heal, so be it. It's better to take that time off than to continue to train and risk having to have an injury or making your injury worse in the long run. So I hope this video was helpful for you all. If you have any questions, believe me, I understand with injuries how frustrating it can be when you're very fit and you've put in several weeks and several months of hard training and you've gotten yourself into great anaerobic shape, only for an injury to slow down your progress. I know how tough that can be mentally as an athlete, because you're in such great aerobic and anaerobic shape, and then you have to take that time off and then start all over again. Well, it's much better to start all over again than to continue to train on an injury, make it worse, and have to have surgery or have to sit out for a much longer period of time had you had used that same discipline that you have to train hard and used it, again, training smarter and knowing when to back off so you get the best results. Sometimes, to get those great results as a middle to long distance runner, it also means accepting the fact that you're going to have some setbacks, and when you have those setbacks, whether it's an injury or whether it's a few bad races, it's how you handle these challenges that's going to dictate how successful you're going to become as a middle to long distance runner. So do not continue to train on an injury. Achilles tendonitis, like I said, it'll continue to tighten up. So the moment it starts getting worse, stop. Take complete rest. Again, if you absolutely have to keep doing something, make sure you're focusing on activities that have zero impact on that ligament and those tendons around your Achilles tendon. Again, like I said, pole running is without question the best option outside of complete rest. Icing, of course, is great. Making sure, take a styrofoam cup, fill a few styrofoam cups up with water, put it in your freezer, freeze those, and then it peels. You can peel the styrofoam around the styrofoam cup and use that as, a massager. I've done that over the years. They work great. But those are your options. I know that's not the best answer, but that's my answer to this question. So I hope this video was helpful. And if you have any other types of injuries or any other types of questions that come up, you come back to this video. Again, pole running is great. It's the top recommended workout in my opinion. Best remedy that I've ever used outside of complete rest, like I said, because you can still focus on doing the workouts, either aerobic workouts or anaerobic workouts, with no impact on your, regardless of what area of your body is giving you issue, there is no impact for pole running. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you have any other questions or concerns, leave me a comment below the video. Again, under all my videos in the description, there are resources to help you in your training and in your racing, and I hope those are very helpful for you. And again, you all know when you reach out to me, I always respond. So if you have a comment or if you have any other questions or concerns, leave me a comment below any of my videos. I will be definitely willing to reach back out to you. So I wish you all the best. Heal up if you do have an injury. Take the time, relax, regroup, recharge. Give yourself some time off away from the sport. It'll probably do you much more good taking that time off and away and allowing yourself just to chill out, eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, and then regroup and get back out on the roads when you've healed up. So hope this was helpful for you all, and I wish you all the best, and I'll talk to you in the next video.